The massive alien ship appeared over New York without warning. It hovered silently, its metal surface reflecting the morning sun like a second moon. Panic spread across Earth at first, but after 3 days of peaceful floating, humans grew curious instead of afraid. Jack Smith adjusted his formal suit as he stood beside his colleague Lisa Brown in the United Nations building. As Earth's top diplomats, they had been chosen to meet the aliens who called themselves the Galactic Council. "They're late," Jack whispered, checking his watch for the 5th time. Lisa smiled nervously. "I don't think aliens care about Earth time." The doors opened, and 12 different alien species walked in. Some had multiple arms, others hovered above the ground, and a few looked almost human except for their colored skin. They took their seats across from the human representatives. "Welcome," said the tallest alien with blue skin and 4 eyes. "I am High Counselor Mox of the Galactic Council. We oversee peace and progress among the stars." Jack stepped forward. "We are honored to meet you. I'm Jack Smith, and this is Lisa Brown. We represent Earth." Mox nodded. "After observing your planet for 100 years, we have come to evaluate your species for membership." The aliens set up a strange device that projected Earth's history in the air. Images of world wars, nuclear tests, and violent conflicts flashed before them. But it also showed medical breakthroughs, space exploration, and artistic achievements. A small green alien with large eyes spoke up. "Your species advanced from primitive tools to space travel in less than 10,000 years. This is concerning." "Concerning?" Lisa asked. "We're proud of our progress." "Too fast," said another alien with scales instead of skin. "Most species take 50,000 years to reach your level. You are unpredictable." The council members began talking among themselves in strange languages. Jack looked at Lisa with worry in his eyes. Mox raised a hand for silence. "We have reviewed your history. Your wars, your rapid advancement, your ability to survive in extreme conditions. Your species possesses unusual traits." "Thank you," Jack said, unsure if it was a compliment. "It is not praise," Mox replied coldly. "Your kind are dangerous. You fight even when victory seems impossible. You adapt too quickly. You survive what should kill you." Lisa stepped forward. "But we've learned from our mistakes. Earth is more peaceful now than ever before." The green alien laughed. "Your peace is only 70 years old. A blink in cosmic time." The council members voted one by one, placing glowing orbs into a central bowl. As each orb fell in, it changed color from white to red. All 12 turned red. Mox stood. "The decision is unanimous. Earth is denied membership to the Galactic Council." "We understand," Jack said, hiding his disappointment. "Perhaps in the future." "There will be no future consideration," Mox interrupted. "Your species presents an unacceptable risk to galactic stability. The Council has voted to implement quarantine protocol." "Quarantine?" Lisa asked, her voice shaking. "What does that mean?" "Your solar system will be surrounded by an energy barrier. No ships may enter or leave. You will remain isolated until your species either evolves beyond its violent nature or becomes extinct." Jack's face paled. "You can't just trap billions of people in their own solar system." "The decision is final," Mox said. "You have 48 hours to return to Earth before the barrier activates." 3 days later, Jack and Lisa watched from a window in the International Space Station as strange ships positioned themselves at the edge of the solar system. Blue energy beams connected the ships, forming a massive web around the entire system. "They really did it," Lisa whispered. "They caged us like animals." Jack's fists clenched. "This isn't over. Humans don't give up." On Earth, scientists quickly began studying the energy barrier. Dr. Tom Wilson, a brilliant physicist from Australia, led the research team at NASA. For months, they sent probes to test the barrier's strength. "It's impossible to break through," one scientist said, throwing his papers in frustration. Dr. Wilson studied the data coming from their latest probe. "Nothing is impossible," he said quietly. "Look at these readings. The energy isn't continuous, it has patterns, like fabric." He zoomed in on the barrier scan, showing microscopic gaps in the energy field that appeared and disappeared in a complex rhythm. "And fabric," Dr. Wilson said with a growing smile, "has threads. Threads have gaps between them." The team gathered around the screen as he pointed to the tiny openings. "They're small, but they're there," he said. "Too small for our ships, but we could build smaller ships," finished his assistant with wide eyes. Dr. Wilson nodded, determination filling his face. "The Council thinks they've seen everything humans can do. They haven't seen anything yet." 20 years passed since the Galactic Council trapped Earth behind its energy barrier. In those years, humanity had not surrendered, they had prepared. Mark Johnson checked the systems of his tiny ship one last time. At just 4 meters long, the Defiance was the smallest functional spacecraft ever built by human hands, designed to slip through the microscopic gaps in the barrier. "Final systems check complete," Mark said into his recorder. "If you're hearing this, Dad, your designs worked." Mark's father had been one of NASA's lead engineers, spending his life designing the microships before he died. Now, his son would pilot the first mission beyond the barrier. Launch in 3, 2, 1. The Defiance accelerated toward the barrier, its advanced sensors locked onto a calculated gap. Mark held his breath as the blue energy field grew closer. The ship shuddered violently, then suddenly went quiet. Stars stretched before him, unobstructed by the blue glow that had surrounded Earth for 20 years. "We're through," Mark shouted. "We're actually through." His 5-person crew celebrated quietly in the cramped cabin. They were the first humans to leave the solar system since the banishment. Following their carefully planned route, they traveled to a nearby star system that pre-barrier observations had shown contained asteroids rich in minerals. After 3 weeks of travel, they discovered something unexpected, an abandoned alien mining outpost on a large asteroid. "It looks like they left in a hurry," said Jim, the team's engineer, as they explored the dusty facility. "Equipment still works. They must have evacuated when the Council announced Earth's quarantine." "Their loss, our gain," Mark replied, running his hand along an alien control panel. "This is our first base beyond the barrier." Over the next 6 months, more microships slipped through different gaps in the barrier, bringing essential supplies and personnel. The humans established a communication network and began gathering intelligence about the Galactic Council. Their greatest discovery came a year later when a scouting mission found an ancient, abandoned shipyard floating in deep space. The facility was massive, capable of building vessels far larger than their tiny Defiance. Mark stood at the viewport of their new command center, looking at the shipyard. "The Council thought they caged us," he said quietly. "But they forgot something important about humans." "What's that?" asked Jim. Mark smiled. "We're very good at building keys." 50 years after Earth's banishment, the humans had accomplished what the Council believed impossible. They had escaped and thrived. Kate Miller stood on the bridge of her ship, looking down at the bustling colony on Planet Haven. The world lay far beyond Council scanning range, in a region of space considered too dangerous for most species due to radiation levels that humans could tolerate with minimal protection. The Phoenix Trading Company's profits increased by 30% this quarter, reported her assistant. "Our technology trades with the Mordian colonies were especially successful." Kate nodded, satisfied. The name Phoenix had been her idea, a symbol of humanity rising from the ashes of their confinement. No alien knew that Phoenix was a human operation. They believed they were dealing with a mysterious new trading species that had suddenly appeared in the frontier regions. "And Earth?" she asked. "The barrier transport system works perfectly. We've moved nearly 10 million people through the microgaps over the last decade. The Council still has no idea. What had begun as a handful of tiny ships had evolved into a vast network of hidden bases, colonies, and fleets. Humans traded advanced technology, disguised as discovered alien tech, to smaller civilizations who were ignored or exploited by the Council. The abandoned shipyard they had found decades ago now produced vessels with capabilities that surpassed even Council warships. Human scientists, freed from the restraints of working in secret on Earth, had developed faster-than-light drives that were twice as efficient as anything in known space. On Haven, the human colony had grown to house over 12 million people, with more arriving every month through their secret transport network. Schools, hospitals, farms, and factories flourished under the red sun of their new home. "Ma'am," her communications officer interrupted, "we've intercepted Council transmissions. They're starting to investigate rumors about Phoenix." Kate frowned. What triggered their interest? One of their trade officials reported impossible technologies appearing in frontier markets. "They've assigned an investigator to look into us." Kate gazed at the planet below, where humans lived freely despite the Council's attempt to cage them. "Let them look," she said calmly. "They won't find humans. They'll find Phoenix, and by the time they understand who we really are, it will be too late to stop us." Alan Green adjusted his holographic disguise as he entered the Council chamber. To everyone present, he appeared as a tall, blue-skinned Zornian investigator. None suspected he was actually human, secretly working for Phoenix while infiltrating the Council's ranks. "Investigator," High Counselor Mock said, "what have you discovered about this Phoenix trading company?" Alan bowed respectfully. "Their operations are extensive but elusive, High Counselor. They appear suddenly, trade advanced technology, then vanish. I've found no permanent bases." This was a lie. Alan had been carefully misdirecting the investigation for months, sending Council ships to empty sectors while warning Phoenix of potential exposure. "Continue your work," Mox ordered. "This organization threatens Council authority in the frontier regions." As Alan left the chamber, his communicator vibrated with an emergency signal from Phoenix. A Council warship had accidentally discovered a human outpost while pursuing a smuggler. The first direct confrontation between humans and the Council in 60 years was underway. The Council warship, Enforcer, fired warning shots at the small human station. To their surprise, the station's shields absorbed the blasts without damage. Then 3 Phoenix vessels appeared, smaller than the Enforcer but moving with impossible speed. "Unidentified vessels, this is Captain Dorr of the Council Enforcement Division. Power down your weapons and prepare for boarding." The Phoenix ships surrounded the Enforcer, their advanced drives allowing maneuvers the Council ship couldn't match. "This is Phoenix Command," responded a distorted voice. "We have no quarrel with the Council. Withdraw from our territory." The Enforcer fired instead. The Phoenix ship's shields flared but held. Then they returned fire with precision, disabling the Council vessel's weapons and engines without destroying it. "Impossible," Captain Dorr whispered as his ship drifted powerless. News of the encounter spread quickly. The Council declared Phoenix an illegal organization and ordered its immediate dismantling. They dispatched a fleet to the frontier regions. In the Phoenix headquarters on Haven, human leaders debated their next move. "We could reveal ourselves," suggested an older Mark Johnson. "Show the galaxy that humans escaped their prison." Kate Miller shook her head. "Not yet. The Council fears Phoenix, but they're terrified of humans. If they learn who we really are, they'll throw everything they have at us." "Then we fight from the shadows," Mark agreed. "For now." Across the frontier, smaller alien species began secretly allying with Phoenix, impressed by how they had defeated a Council warship. The balance of power was shifting. General Bob Taylor studied the holographic map showing Council fleet movements. 6 months had passed since the first battle, and now full conflict raged across the frontier regions. The Council had committed significant forces to hunt down Phoenix operations. They've deployed 20 battlecruisers to the Novan sector, his intelligence officer reported. But they're searching in the wrong places. Bob nodded, pleased with the effectiveness of their deception tactics. Keep our main bases hidden and continue the hit-and-run attacks. We don't need to win battles, we need to make them question why they're fighting. Phoenix ships used guerrilla warfare tactics, striking Council supply lines then disappearing before reinforcements arrived. They never attacked civilian targets, focusing only on military vessels. This approach confused the Council leadership, who expected the behavior of typical pirates or rebels. Meanwhile, scientists on Earth had developed weapons that targeted specific weaknesses of Council species. Sonic disruptors affected the sensitive hearing of the Zornians, while specialized electromagnetic pulses temporarily disabled the cybernetic implants of the mech voids. General. A communications officer interrupted. We're receiving distress calls from the Paloran colony. Massive seismic activity. The Council has abandoned their outpost there. The Palorans were a peaceful species who had recently joined the Council. Their colony housed over 3 million civilians. How long until total collapse? Bob asked. Hours at most. The Council evacuated their military but left the Palorans behind. Bob's face hardened. Dispatch our rescue fleet immediately. Get those people out. Phoenix ships arrived at the colony and evacuated the Palorans before their world tore itself apart. News of the rescue spread across Council space, creating confusion. Why would a dangerous criminal organization risk their ships to save Council citizens? The rescue operation caused rifts within the Council itself. Some members questioned the war against Phoenix, while others demanded more aggressive action. In a secure communication room on Haven, Kate Miller spoke with their human operative inside the Council. Alan, what's happening in the Council chambers? She asked. They're divided, Alan replied. 3 species are now calling for peace talks. The others still want to destroy us. But there's more, they've reduced patrols near Earth. The barrier is vulnerable. Kate smiled. Then it's time for the next phase. Tell our Earth teams to begin Operation Homecoming. On both sides of the barrier, humans prepared for their boldest move yet. Ambassador Mary White took a deep breath as she prepared to address the emergency session of the Galactic Council. For 80 years, humans had hidden behind the Phoenix identity. Today, that would end. Operation Truth had been months in planning. Simultaneously across Council space, thousands of Phoenix operatives were revealing their true identities. On hundreds of worlds, the masks were coming off. Mary entered the Grand Council chamber without disguise, the first undisguised human to walk these halls since Jack Smith and Lisa Brown nearly a century ago. Gasps echoed through the chamber as she approached the speaking platform. High Counselor Mox rose from his seat, eyes wide with shock. Impossible, he whispered. Humans are contained on Earth. Mary smiled. Clearly, we are not. The chamber erupted in chaos. Security guards moved forward but stopped when screens around the room activated, showing Phoenix ships dropping their holographic disguises to reveal human markings. My name is Mary White, representative of humanity and the organization you know as Phoenix Trading Company, she announced when the noise subsided. For 80 years, we have lived among you, traded with you, and even rescued your people when you abandoned them. She activated a hologram showing Phoenix ships saving the Paloran colony. The Council imprisoned our species, declaring us too dangerous for the galaxy. In response, we built an empire right under your noses. We could have sought revenge, instead, we seek partnership. The council members looked at each other in disbelief. Mox's face darkened with anger. This proves we were right to contain your kind. Your deception only confirms your dangerous nature. Several council members nodded in agreement, but others remained thoughtful. The representative of the Pelorans stood. The humans saved our colony when this council abandoned us. Perhaps we judged them too harshly. They deceived us all. Mox shouted. You left us no choice, Mary replied calmly. You never asked what we might contribute to galactic society. You never gave us a chance. More council members began speaking up, some demanding renewed containment efforts, others calling for dialogue. The council was fracturing before everyone's eyes. As the debate raged, Mary received a message from Earth: the barrier was down. For the first time in a century, Earth was free. We offer peace, Mary said, but we will not return to our cage. The choice is yours. 100 years after Earth's banishment, the old Galactic Council chamber stood transformed. Where once 12 alien species had decided the fate of the galaxy, now representatives from over 50 worlds gathered in a circular arrangement, symbolizing equality among all members. Jack Smith's great-grandson, Admiral David Smith, looked out at the gathering from Earth's section. Beside him sat President Tom Wilson, descendant of the scientist who had discovered the barrier's weakness a century ago. The first Galactic Alliance summit, Tom said quietly. Our ancestors would be proud. The old council had collapsed within months of humanity's revelation. 6 former council species had immediately sought alliance with the humans, impressed by their resourcefulness and technological achievements. The remaining council hardliners, led by Mox, had rejected all peace offers. The alliance had formed from this union of humans and friendly aliens, establishing new principles: no species would be banned or contained, and all civilizations deserved the chance to grow and contribute to galactic society. Delegates, began the alliance chairperson, a Peloran whose ancestors had been saved by Phoenix ships. Today we celebrate 1 year since the formation of our alliance. Our combined fleets have secured peace across 80% of known space. Not all had welcomed the new order. Mox and his followers had attempted one final, desperate attack against Earth 6 months earlier. The combined alliance fleet, led by David Smith, had intercepted and defeated them decisively. Reports from former council worlds show improving conditions, continued the chairperson. Trade routes are open to all, and technological exchange has accelerated development for formerly isolated species. The human empire that had begun with tiny ships slipping through a barrier had transformed into the foundation of a new galactic civilization, one built on cooperation rather than control. After the session, David walked with Tom through the memorial garden outside the chamber. They stopped at a simple stone marker showing 2 human figures, Jack Smith and Lisa Brown, the diplomats who had faced the council's judgment a century before. They never imagined this outcome when they received that banishment order, Tom said. David smiled. Perhaps not. But they knew something important about humans. What's that? Tell us we can't do something, David replied, and we'll move the stars themselves to prove you wrong. On a distant world, in a classroom filled with alien children, a teacher displayed historical images of Earth's barrier. And that, she told her students, is how the legend of Earth's banishment became the founding story of our new galactic era.